Right now at 6, a KGW exclusive into stolen and sensitive military equipment.
What did they collect?
What they came for?
Why it's raising national security concerns, and it appears no one has been charged. Plus,
this whole stepping stone was supposed to be a step in the right direction.
One woman's fight to get off the streets and the budget cuts that could send her back.
Then, just in time for wildfire season, the brand new evacuation system that's meant to get you out in minutes.
There's no miscommunication. There's no trying to understand what roads or where. It's this.
And all aboard as the Navy, Coast Guard, and Royal Canadian Navy arrive at the Portland waterfront.
We want folks to know what their Navy looks like, what their sailors are capable of.
And later in sports, the Ducks punch their ticket to the Super Regionals with a trip to the College World Series on the line.
They're a beatable team, but still, you got to play your best to beat them.
But first to breaking news and a wildfire burning about 2 miles southwest of Detroit Lake. The Kinney Ridge fire, as it's called, is estimated to be about 10 acres in size west of the Kinney Ridge drainage. It's currently moving west, that is away from Detroit.
Good news there. We should note it's in an uninhabited and hilly area. U.S. Forest Service crews and 2 helicopters helping fight that blaze, described now as human caused, with winds we understand cooperating, at least for the most part. We'll keep you updated as we learn more.
Meanwhile, in Portland, the big ships have started to arrive at the waterfront, officially kicking off Fleet Week. Thank you so much for being here with us. I'm Christine Padawane.
And I'm David Molko. You're looking at video of the USS Chaffee. It's a guided missile destroyer based in San Diego, making its way under the steel bridge this afternoon. One of half a dozen ships you'll get to see and hopefully set foot on throughout the week.
Yeah, for more on that, let's turn it over to our Celine Stevens live on the waterfront. Hey, Celine.
Hi, Christine. Yeah, you know what? It's an exciting week. You can actually still see the USS Chaffee here behind me, positioned directly behind me, and people will be able to get on these ships starting Thursday morning for those tours. Now, this is the 119th time that the Rose City has welcomed a Navy fleet, making this the longest and continuous running Fleet Week in the country.
Our key to success for the mission really resides largely with community support.
It's Fleet Week with ships from the U.S. Navy, Coast Guard, Army Corps of Engineers, and the Royal Canadian Navy arriving along the waterfront.
We want folks to know what their Navy looks like, what their sailors are capable of, and we want our sailors to be able to communicate with members of the community about what the U.S. Navy does.
Multiple ships sailing in Tuesday afternoon, leading to some bridge lifts impacting drivers and TriMet.
We'll route the buses over alternate river crossings, so we have plans in place for that. Trains will either be holding at stations or potentially, if the bridge lifts last for a long time, we'll do some turnbacks and we'll have some extra buses standing by to service shuttles if needed.
The Steel, Broadway, and Burnside bridges will also be impacted when most of the ships leave Monday. If you have any boating plans this week, you'll want to do your best to avoid the security zone from now through Monday.
The Multnomah County Sheriff's Office will have a boat at each end of the security zone. So we'll have a boat at the Steel Bridge, we'll have a boat at the Hawthorne Bridge. Anybody in a motorized vessel will need to be escorted through that zone.
Those on paddleboards or kayaks can pass, but only on the eastern side of the river. If you're planning to go to the tours, the majority start Thursday at 10 a.m. until 4 p.m., and visitors should make sure they bring a real ID or passport and flat, closed-toe shoes.
No contraband of any kind, certainly no weapons, no large bulky items, no strollers, no large bags, and just need to be agile moving on to the ship.
So the tours of the Royal Canadian Navy ship actually start tomorrow morning at 9:30, but all the other tours of the other ships are going to start Thursday at 10 and continue through Sunday. Now, if you do have mobility issues, you may not be allowed on board due to safety concerns, but there will be an opportunity for a waterfront briefing of the tour. Also, flying drones near the ships is not allowed, as well as wearing wearable technology like Meta glasses. Back to you.
I love this time of year, and especially welcoming all the sailors into the city. Thanks, Celine. Hey, stick with the festival. The new and combined Grand Floral Starlight Parade, we have to get used to that. It's coming up on Saturday with teams working hard to get the floats ready.
Yeah, so we got a sneak peek inside the float barn as volunteers work on their masterpieces. The floats are decorated with natural materials, so things like dried fruit, coffee beans, then covered in fresh flowers. And each is unique in its own way.
Every single float has a different style. Some are a little bit more whimsical and cartoon, where others are more natural. Like our float this year takes on a more natural landscape look. So I think there's just a lot of variety and a lot of detail that people will be able to see from the street.
Remember, as David briefly mentioned, this year the Grand Floral Parade is combined with the Starlight Parade, creating just one big celebration. It all starts at 6:30 p.m. this Saturday in downtown Portland.
Looking forward to that. We'll do a live look this evening for our Sky Cam at the Springs at the Vancouver waterfront. A beautiful view over the Columbia on this Tuesday, on a day where we hit the high 80s in a lot of spots.
Just gorgeous. Meteorologist Joe Ranieri joins us now. Joe, is this heat sticking around for long?
No, this is pretty much it. And speaking of the parade on Saturday night, there's a good chance that we'll start to see some drier weather move in late Saturday. But the start of your work and weekend, and really the late part of Friday, will be on the wet side. Not an incredible amount of rain, but nonetheless, you just never know what you're going to see in terms of weather for the Grand Floral Parade. Walk out there right now, all you need, some sunscreen, some shades, and some shorts with temperatures close to 90 degrees. We also have a little bit of some high clouds starting to move overhead. Currently, we're seeing temperatures in the mid to the upper 80s across the metro area. East side of the state, a little bit cooler over in John Day and Burns, 80 degrees. Down in southern Oregon, you're still seeing some warm temperatures at this hour as well. So the weather headlines tomorrow, much cooler and cloudy, although we'll start to see some sunny skies by the early part of the afternoon, and there's a chance for some light drizzle here and there. It's not going to add up to much. In terms of measurable amount of rain, we could see some early Thursday morning. So late this week, though, that's when the rain chances really start to increase. And yeah, this weekend, at least the start of it, is going to be on the wet side. So tomorrow, we'll be looking at temperatures in the low 60s starting off with daytime highs about 15 degrees cooler from what we saw earlier this afternoon. I'll have your detailed forecast coming up in a few minutes.
Okay, thank you so much, Joe.
In your headlines this evening, a week after the chemical tank blast at a Longview paper mill killed 11 workers, union leaders say their priority remains supporting the families along with hundreds of other employees. Community fundraisers, including a barbecue and car wash over the weekend, have already raised tens of thousands of dollars, and that is as state investigators caution it could take at least 6 months to figure out a potential cause.
It's going to take some time to get to the bottom of what happened. It's going to take some time to realize what the long-term recovery for this community is going to look like. But we will never forget the families that have lost loved ones.
Meanwhile, environmental officials say water conditions in ditches near the mill have returned to normal after thousands of fish died in the initial chemical spill.
A man is dead after a shooting in southeast Portland earlier this morning. It happened just after 4 o'clock on Southeast 122nd in the Hazelwood neighborhood. That's where officers found a man lying in the street who appeared to be shot. Police aren't releasing any other details and are wanting anyone with information to give them a call.
And developing this evening, the Oregon Health Authority says an Oregon resident exposed to hantavirus on that expedition cruise ship has now returned to the state. While officials did not provide the name, the only Oregonian on the ship that we know of was Dr. Stephen Kornfeld from Bend, who helped treat other passengers. OHA says the person returned June 1st after spending more than 3 weeks at a federal quarantine facility in Nebraska and will remain quarantined through June 21st. They say the risk of infection to the community, broadly speaking, is extremely low. Now to a story you won't see anywhere else. Into the search for sensitive military equipment, including flight gear, radios, and computers, all stolen after an Army flight crew apparently left the equipment in a rental car parked downtown.
KGW investigative reporter Kyle Aboshi has the exclusive details. Kyle, how'd you find out about this?
I discovered this case in a federal search warrant. Details not previously reported. They describe Army investigators hunting for missing military equipment, some of it sensitive enough to contact soldiers anywhere on Earth. What started as a smash and grab has turned into a months-long search for sensitive military equipment stolen from a rental vehicle in downtown Portland. According to a federal search warrant, a U.S. Army flight crew was on a 2-day mission returning a helicopter to Oregon. During their stopover, the crew parked their rented vehicle outside a hotel in downtown Portland. On October 30th, the soldiers reported someone smashed the window and stole nearly $33,000 worth of equipment, including electronics, flight gear, and iPads. But the most alarming loss? Specialized survival radios. Court records showed they're built for when a helicopter is downed, capable of reaching military personnel around the globe, even those in sensitive locations. Records show Portland police pulled a palm print off the rental vehicle and made an arrest in December, but the charge was dropped because prosecutors couldn't prove the man entered the vehicle and stole the equipment. Then, in March, a helmet showed up online. Someone was selling a pilot helmet on Facebook Marketplace, which matched the stolen flight gear. Investigators later found more evidence, including 3 helicopter pilot helmets sold on eBay. According to court records, federal agents tracked the eBay account to this Clackamas apartment. And on May 20th, federal investigators went in, searched the property, and questioned this man, Stephen Reginato.
What did they ask you?
Nothing really. Yeah.
What did they collect?
What they came for?
Records show federal agents recovered 2 military radios, but one is still missing, and the helmets were long gone, according to the search warrant, sold to buyers out of state. We reached out to the Army Criminal Investigation Division, which is leading this investigation. A spokesperson didn't respond to our questions or provide an update on the search for that missing equipment.
Fascinating story. Appreciate it, Kyle.